Welcome back to the Results Driven Podcast, where we talk about the nuts, the bolts, the strategies, the things that are working today in our very own real estate investing business. And we share with you the lessons that we've learned so you don't have to make the same mistakes, so you can avoid the pitfalls that we have made. Today, we're going to be talking about the E-myth of real estate investing, the difference between the hustler who's stuck in the grind and the business owner who is bought back their time and has ultimate freedom. We see a lot of people get stuck in this hustler hamster wheel where they're wearing all the hats. They're doing absolutely everything in the business. And what we've seen is that it's more commonly what's in between the ears that gets in the way. It's the mindset that we have when we first get into business. When we first got started into our real estate investing journey, we thought that we had to work harder. We had to do more. We mistaked being busy with progression, and busy does not mean progression. And we ended up creating a more than a full-time job, a very, 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 very long hour job for ourselves that made us get stuck in the grind. And it wasn't until we realized and had this mindset shift of leverage ultimately that we really were able to leverage systems. We were able to leverage processes. We were able to leverage marketing and people. And when we leverage all of these things and put it all in place the right way, see, we did it the wrong way first, but when we did it the right way, we were able to gain back our time. So this reminds me a lot of what's called the E-myth. And the E-myth is broken down into there are three different types of business owners. There's the technician, there's the manager, and there's the entrepreneur. The technician is someone who is big on DIY. They do it yourself. They want control. They don't believe that anyone could ever do it better than them. These are some of the things that they tell themselves. Whereas the manager is obsessed with and focused on systems, processes. How do we get the duplicatable, repeatable results? Whereas the entrepreneur, on the other hand, is focused on leverage. How do I leverage the systems and processes that the manager put into the business, but how do I plug other people into these to gain back my time? And this is where you really start to see things grow. You see deal flow magnify. You see scale. And scale doesn't have to be a scary thing. Scale could just mean more consistency or more predictability in our business. Far too often we see people stuck in this roller coaster effect where one month it's great and the next month it's not so great. And we're going to dive deep into some of the mindsets, the beliefs, and the behaviors that lead to that. So let's dive into that for a second. What causes the roller coaster effect for the real estate investor? Well, first comes the mindset of investing into marketing. A lot of times people hesitate investing more into marketing because they fear, what if I spend $5,000 or $10,000 and it simply doesn't work? Well, to combat that, we need to make sure that we understand how to reverse engineer and set proper expectations. So if I go spend $10,000 on mail, for example, how do I set the proper expectations of, okay, $10,000 equals this many mailers. And because I send this many mailers, I can expect this many callbacks based on a response rate, an industry standard response rate. And based on the call-ins, I know that there should be a certain conversion of total call-ins to get a contract. And when I know that, now I can also add in my average profit per deal. And if I go and I pay $10,000 on mail based on all of those conversions, how much in projected profit and how much revenue can I now predict based on this calculator and based on these conversions? That sets proper expectations. Okay, so I can say, okay, this is the plan. And then after I press go, now I measure my actual results against what my plan was. And if something is off, then we need to go be able to identify what is causing whatever conversion to be off and fix it quickly. See, this provides more confidence in our ability to go, okay, spend $10,000 on mail to get this outcome. Now, a big piece of this also is our ability to convert sellers from leads and or opportunities into contracts. Far too often people think that I'll just throw more money at the marketing problem, thinking that it's the leads, thinking that it's the marketing channel, that it's the market, when it's really a sales issue. So we need to make sure that when we're tracking our actual results, that we're able to identify the problem and solve it quickly. And more times than not, it's actually a sales conversion issue more so than it is a marketing channel or leads issue. And everybody's quickest to blame the leads. So here's the difference between the technician and the entrepreneur when it comes to marketing. The technician is fearful of spending that $10,000 on mail because they don't have confidence in outcomes. They don't have the tool, they don't have the calculator to set proper expectations on what to expect after spending that $10,000. They don't have the trackers in place to track their actual performance. Therefore, they can't identify conversion issues. And then they also don't have faith in someone else handling the leads when they go spend $10,000 because they think, oh, I've got to have control. I've got to do it all myself. Now, that mentality holds them back because they never magnify their deal flow because they never grow their marketing budget. They never magnify their deal flow because they don't leverage other people. They don't magnify their deal flow because they don't have systems and processes in place. So that's just one example. Another key difference between a technician versus an entrepreneur is what we call money mindset. What is our mindset around money? Do we see investing in marketing as an expense or as an investment? Do we see investing in people as an expense or an investment? The technician that sees it as an expense. Oh no, if I go spend money on marketing, like what? I can't afford to spend $10,000 on marketing. Whereas the entrepreneur is like, oh, $10,000 on marketing. Well, because of my confidence and outcomes due to the systems and processes and the onboarding and the training that I have in place to put my people in the best position possible to be successful. Well, I should be able to get a 3, 4, or even 5x on that $10,000 marketing spend. Same thing when it comes to people. If I can take this workload off of my plate and spend my time on more revenue generating activities, then how much more could I add to the business? Or if I can bring someone on board who's then focused on revenue generating activities and I'm able to continue to build a team. So now instead of just me by myself focused on sales and acquisitions, I can have now, let's just say 3 people. Now I just tripled my output. You see the investor sees tripling the output, whereas the technician sees, oh, wow, I've got 3 people on payroll. That's expensive. So there's a key difference on how the entrepreneur thinks about investing versus that technician thinking of expenses. Every investor hits a breaking point. Every investor hits a wall where they can't scale without leverage. They're stressed out, they're burnt out, they're living in the inconsistency of the hustler hamster wheel, the roller coaster effect, as we call it, and it forces real reflection. We've got to ask ourselves, are we going to continue to go through the pain of staying small, or are we going to finally let go? The reality is that you don't build freedom by doing more. You build it by letting go. Let's take a moment and talk through what is necessary in order for someone to feel comfortable with the idea of letting go. What do the entrepreneurs do differently than the technicians that gives them more confidence to let go and know that the results are going to be there? Well, when we talk about letting go, that means that we're building a team. And when we talk about building a team, we've got to have these key components in place. We've got to have very, very, very clear and thorough onboarding. We've got to teach our team members what to do and how to do it. It doesn't stop there. We've then got to have ongoing training. It's very normal for us as human beings to fall off the process. So this ongoing training keeps our skills sharp. If we're talking about acquisitions, we've got to have film study. This is where we're going to go back and we're going to review conversations, whether it's call reviews or if you're running in-person appointments. It's going to be very difficult for you to do this unless you're doing what we call ride-alongs. So you're going to have to validate the conversations in order to coach your team members. We've got to have consistent, ongoing one-on-ones where we're holding performance reviews and we're setting clear expectations and holding people accountable to those expectations. And then ultimately, we've got to make sure that we're tracking the right metrics. Not only are we tracking KPIs, but we're leveraging what we call the 3-step KPI framework. We call it the TIF framework. T stands for track the metrics. I stands for identify the red flag or bottleneck, the conversion issue. And then F stands for fix it. If we track the metrics, it does us no good if we don't know how to identify there's a problem. And even if we track the metrics and know that there's a problem, it does us no good if we don't know how to fix the problem. So we want to leverage those things to make sure that we can get people who might be falling off the process, who might be falling behind the performance, back to performance as quickly as possible. See, the technician, they might be tracking metrics, they might not be tracking metrics. And if they are tracking metrics, they sure as heck don't know what they even mean. And because they don't know what they mean, they don't know how to identify problems and fix them quickly. So what they do is they look up and they look at their team 30 days in, 60 days in, and they're like, what the heck, team? Where's the results? And the team's like, well, what do you mean? There's no clear expectations. They haven't been coached because the technician doesn't know how to do these things. So if we're gonna build the team, we've got to make sure we take the entrepreneur's approach to building a team and having those 5 things in place to set our team up for success. So here are a few things as we close out this session. Always remember, you can't scale chaos. You can only scale systems. Also, if your business depends on you, it's not a business, it's a job. The goal isn't more deals, it's more freedom. So which one are you right now? Are you the technician or are you the entrepreneur? Which one do you want to be? What steps do you need to take in order to get there? If you're ready to take your first step into getting freedom, into building this out like the entrepreneur, make sure that you grab our hiring guide. It's a free tool, free resource. It walks you through everything that we've done to recruit, to make sure that we're finding the right people, how we interview to make sure we're putting the right people in the right seats, and then how we onboard, how we train, and how we hold them accountable. So make sure you grab that free guide and make sure that you tune in to the next episode as we continue to give you guys what is actually working in our business today. No fluff, real strategies that you can implement right now. And that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you all for tuning in to the Results Driven Podcast. If you guys found value in this, share it with someone that you think might need to hear it. Make sure that you're following us for more and make sure that you're tuning in and always staying results driven.